Hello friends, it's Cindy Brumbaugh from CindyLeeBDesigns.com, independent Stampin' Up! Demonstrator. Today I have a pretty card for you using some of the items in the Art Gallery suite. So I'm going to be using the Art Gallery photopolymer stamp set along with the Floral Gallery dies. And I'm going to use this gorgeous Golden Garden acetate. Oh, it's so beautiful. And then we're going to be using the Gilded leafing. Oh gosh, I was so scared to open this up with all the things I heard about it, but as long as you hold your breath when you're using it, you're going to be great. And by holding your breath, I mean not breathing and it flying everywhere. Okay, so let's take a quick look at this card. Look at this beautiful fine art beautiful gold ribbon. It's the fine art ribbon that came in that suite. Makes a nice little touch there. And then I used the gilded leafing on the flowers and I rubbed it on the bottom here of the nested label dies, which are retiring. So we are going to take a look here at these beautiful blooms here. I used this one here, and then it has a die cut to die cut it. And then I used this small stamp here to put on the touches of gold there. So let me show you how fun this card is to make. So of course it's the beautiful accents of the gold that are really awesome. So we've got all our little pieces here. And I'm using Pretty Peacock, which is a retiring color. I think the re-inkers in the cardstock is gone now. It goes pretty quick with the retiring list. But on this one, I used half sheet, and I used it 4 1/4 by 11, and I scored it at 5 1/2. But on this one, I had this already cut, and I wasn't going to waste this paper since it's gone. And so I just did an 8 1/2 by 5 1/2, and I scored it at 4 1/4. And all the measurements and everything I've used on this video and the colors will be over on my blog, CindyLeeBDesigns.com. Just underneath the YouTube description, it says visit my blog here. Press the link. Boom, it takes you over to CindyLeeBDesigns.com. Additional photos and little tidbits are over there. So I just used that Pretty Peacock as my card base, and then I wanted to put on this beautiful Golden Garden acetate. Oh, so pretty. Now this acetate actually comes in 3 sheets with this kind of like mosaic pattern here. It also comes with a piece of floral that covers over one of the fine art the paper, that beautiful paper that came with that bundle there. So you can see it overlays that. And then the 3rd sheet overlays this beautiful pattern in that designer series paper as well. So it just kind of outlines a beautiful flower. So you get 3 sheets in that set, but oh, it's worth it. They're so beautiful. So I'm using this one on here. Let me show you a little trick if you ever have these acetates. Now this one has gold on one side and silver on the other. So look how pretty you could do the silver as well on here. But it does have a protective covering on it. So just take a piece of Scotch tape and just pull up that piece of protection that's on that acetate. When you're cutting it, sometimes you'll meet resistance. Sometimes I will cut it with that piece on, but sometimes I don't, it depends. But I wanted to show you just a piece of tape because otherwise you sit there with your fingernail and take your pick tool trying to get it off of there, but a piece of tape just takes it right off. Now, acetate is one of those things that you are always trying to figure out how not to show through. So on this card, I knew that this nested label die was going to cover up, so I knew I was fine to just either go right on here where I knew that label would be, and I'm just using my Stampin' Seal Plus there, and then I knew I could just pop on this 4 by 5 1/4 piece of acetate. There we go. And I knew that I'd be covering up where you would see through the acetate. So the next thing I did is I designed it with my die here, the nested label die, and that's the largest one in the set. And then I wanted to pop up this beautiful bloom, and I wanted to use my gold leafing. Now this gold leafing can be done a couple different ways. So let's first go ahead and use the heat and stick powder. So I'm just going to bring a piece of my basic white down here so you can see the gold leafing there. So what you're going to do is ink up your little bloom here with your Versamark. I call Versamark clear sticky ink. So we're just gonna get some Versamark on there. And then I just put it, I'll try to do it the correct way here. I just put it right on my flowers. Try to get it so it's just on these 3 flowers. So what I did is I put the Versamark on there, our sticky ink, and then I'm going to use the heat and stick powder. Here we go. Oh, I've got a little piece of something in there. And then I'm just going to use this. I'm just going to go over that Versamark sticky clear ink. And then you can see how I have that ink on there, but I see a tiny little fleck of something right here. Okay, there we go. So what I'm gonna do is be very careful and put this back in. Normally I have my big, I haven't actually transferred over my heat and stick powder, which I'm not sure if I wanna stick it in one of my big containers or not. I might just stick it in here so I don't. Okay, so we're gonna put that aside, and then we are going to heat the heat and stick powder till it goes clear. Okay. Oh, I'm gonna stick this back here because we're gonna be using it for the gold leafing. Okay, so let's make sure this is closed when you have that heat gun out. Oh, my heat gun isn't plugged in. Hold on. Let's get that. So we're just going to heat up our heat and stick. As soon as you see this heat and stick get darker, okay, so it is done. Don't overheat it because then it won't be sticky anymore. So what we're going to do is we're going to open up this. Now, I will eventually be putting this into a bigger container, but if you breathe on this or make any bit of a movement, you're going to actually find yourself with a mess. So I'm just going to pull some little pieces out and put it directly onto my flower here. This stuff is so cool. Just put it right on those little sticky places. There's a big piece here. Wish I had a real big piece to do. And I'm just putting this, see how it's very, very delicate. So it's very easy, like if you're, like I said, you don't want to breathe on the thing and it's going to go flying. So I can see that it looks like I've gotten most of that. So I just want to make sure. A little piece here, very delicate. I remember when all the Home and Garden TV came out and people were gold leafing like beautiful furniture and stuff, and how delicate it was. And now here we can just do that right on our cards. Okay, so what I'm gonna do is put the lid on this so I don't do a big breath onto it and it go flying. So you can just rub that around your flower and you can see it's sticking on there, but then you're gonna wanna get some of this off of here. Now you can use like a stiff bristle brush. I'm using a toothbrush and I'm using kind of a light touch on it right now, but you can see that the gold just sticks to the part that was the heat and stick. And then I'm gonna pull this up and you can see that beautiful gilded leafing on there, and that was with the heat and stick powder. And then I'm going to try to put some of this, but you can see it's a little bit difficult to play with, but I'll see if I can get a little bit of it back into my container. That's why it's nice if you're using like one of those really nice clippable Ziploc type things. Okay, so I am going to just move this a little bit over here. I put a little bit of it into my garbage. Okay, so the next thing I'm going to show you, so that was our way of, where did I put that flower? Did I stick my card on top? Oh, there it is. Okay, so that's one way of doing it, using your heat and stick powder. And it's really sturdy. Once you get that on there, it is good. Now, another trick I did is I wanted to do the whole bottom of this, on the bottom of my nested label die. So what I did is I took a piece of the adhesive sheets, okay? We no longer use this brand. We have a different brand, our brand, but you just peel off one side of that, okay? And then you're going to put it right about where you want it on your nested label die. And I'm just doing the bottom part. I should have brought out my silicone sheet. And even if you're not perfectly straight, you can alter that. Well, not alter, but kind of fix it. And when you put this little strip across there, you can make it exactly the way you want it. So I'm putting one of those adhesives. Like I said, I just peeled off the one side, and now I'm putting the sticky side down. When I pull this up, so I'm just going to be really sure that I've got this on here nicely. Good adherence here. And once you pull this off, you have sticky on there. That sticky is going to act the same way that the heat and stick acted. So you can see I'm pulling this off. Now a little piece, make sure it's sticking. I want to make sure there. Of course, the first time I did it, it turned out just perfect. So there we go. If there's any chance that you think a little piece didn't get stickied, I just put it right back on there. Okay, so now this is all sticky. So what we're gonna do now, I'm gonna remove we're just gonna put that gold leafing actually right on. Now that's where the big piece goes. We're just putting that right onto that adhesive sheet. You just put it right on, and it sticks wherever you have stickiness. And it's a dry sticky, not like putting, if you actually can use Tombow and put little dots, but those Tombow has to be dried to its tackiness, not wet. So you can't, put it on wet glue, but you could put it on tacky glue. So we're just getting because sometimes when you do this, you might have a place where it didn't perfectly adhere, and you want to put a little piece of, little drop of the Tombow glue, and then just make sure that it's dry before you put the leafing on. So close that up there, and you can see I've covered the bottom, and I'm just being gentle. And what I love about, now of course, if you put Versamark across there and used gold embossing powder, you would get a neat, gold accent there. But the neat thing about this gold leafing, it's like an antiqued gold. Look at the sheen on that. It has different dimensions from the sheen of the card. Okay, so we've got heat and stick powder on our flower. We've used our adhesive sheets on here. And you can also use, where is it? Where'd I put it? Oh, here, tear. You can always use tear and tape. You could put a stripe right across here with your tear and tape, pull off the protective covering, and put the gold leafing on. So, so cool. I did that on another card that I'm doing in a class, and oh gosh, it was so cool. Okay, so now we have this little bit of gold leafing here. I'm gonna try to salvage it and put it back in here. Closing that little bugger up. Okay, see how that stuff just flies? So you definitely want to be a little careful with it. And then I've got that beautiful accent of gold on the bottom of my tag. I'm gonna move this aside. Okay, there we go. So the next thing we're gonna do is, look at our card here that we've started. We're going to put our dimensionals. Let's just go ahead and put, we're gonna put our little cute little thing here. So I'm gonna go ahead and put some glue. And this is where, if you got a little bit of, your line of your gold was a little cockeyed, you can easily fix it by putting this little accent of cardstock across the bottom. And then we're just going to snip off that little edge, and then I'll just take some of this gold leafing that's off the back of this too. Who knows, somebody can open up this card, and you probably want to put a little bit of a piece of protective, you know, cardstock over the top of it so it doesn't get all yucky in the mail. Okay, so here we go. We're going to put some dimensionals on the back of our nested label. And did you see how quick and easy that was to get that gilding on there? Like I said, it is super pretty. It's carrying over into our new catalog. So that's awesome. I can just see it Christmas using this stuff, you know, especially with just using the tear and tape. It's super easy. But the heat and stick powder was so easy to use too. Just kind of like you're using embossing powder, but it's sticky. So here we go. We're gonna put this, there we go. We're gonna put this label. Oh, before I do that, I'm gonna put this gold, just put a little touch of gold with that fine art ribbon right here. And I just stuck it right. My friend Linda Heller had made a card that had some really cool little accent of this. Oh, I put it up a little too. There we go. And I'm just gonna snip off a little piece of that, and it's gonna stick to the dimensional. Okay, so now we can put this, I'm gonna turn it this way so I can tell I'm doing it straight along the edge there. There we go. And now we just have to put this focal point of our flower on here. So also some dimensionals. Okay. And then we'll just put some of these on those blooms. And then I'm gonna snip a couple of these little edges here. And I can put them on so I get a good popping up everywhere. Put one there, and then just peel those off. You can also use take your pick tool, but usually, sometimes it totally works. Yep, there you go. Sometimes they just go flying for me, but I see some demos that really have a good grasp on that. Okay, so I'm gonna be putting this on here, but I wanted to use a longer sentiment that's in this set. This set is awesome with these different sentiments here, and I wanted to put on this thinking of you, because I think when you put a thinking of you on a card, it just makes that card so versatile, because then you don't have to worry about, oh, I don't have a birthday card, oh, I don't have a sympathy card, oh, I don't have a thank you card. But if you're thinking of someone, that card becomes anything you want it to be. So I wanted to put this on the bottom, a little bit onto the peacock. So I wanted to know that I had enough room before I put my flower on. And then let's just put that flower a little more straight than off to the edge here. Okay, so the next thought is you could take this same label die and you could stick one of those label dies on the inside. That would look cool. But I had a little strip of the leftover acetate. So then I decided I would put that in. Now let me show you my little trick for getting this acetate down. Now remember our little trick with the tape. Take off that protective covering, super easy. Now I wanted to get this down, so what I did is I took my tear and tape and I put it along the edge of my acetate. And by putting it along the edge of the acetate, I am going to cover it up with my peacock strip. So I just realized I want to cut this. Who knows, I might use that little piece here. So I'm gonna just do that for now. And then I'm always saying I'm gonna use things, and then I have all these little things laying everywhere of, I'm gonna use this, I'm gonna use this. Sometimes I do end up using it, but my father-in-law always said, better to have and not need than need and not have. Okay, so there we go. Now let's just snip off this little piece here without catching the cardstock. How many times do you go to cut this and you cut into the cardstock? Oh, I just get so mad at myself when I do that. So now we're just gonna pop this little guy, and just so I don't get adhesive all over my work surface, I'm just gonna put some little pieces of, oh, I love the permanence of this one. It's very easy to use. I find it's a little easier to use than the regular seal, where I sometimes, as you see, struggle just a tad. Okay, so here we go. We're just gonna cover up that, and if we want to, we can actually use our grid paper. Whoa, we've got a little craziness going on here. We can use our grid paper as a guide here, and actually, oop, I want to cover, why don't we just go from the top of the, let's see that I can see this. And you have a nice straight line, snip that off, and your acetate's nice and secure. And then we'll just pop it onto our inside of our card. And that way you're using up those little scraps of acetate, because you know when we go to use that acetate, we're wanting to use every piece of it wisely. So we've got that inside of our card. Oh gosh, now you can tell that's, let's see, this will, I just realized it's like not straight once I put it in there, but I can adjust that a little bit. There. I'll give you an excuse and tell you it's hard to do at this angle when you're doing a video. So 2 fun cards using that gilded leafing. The gilded leafing, gilded gold. It is so light. It's just like picking up cotton, but a really fun product to use. And it is carrying over into our new catalog. So I just used the heat and stick powder to do my flowers. And then I used a piece of adhesive sheet and covered the whole bottom of this nested label die and just rubbed it on. So I didn't even have to get my heat gun out for that. And then also you can use your, because this has a stickiness to it, you could easily put this across the bottom of your thing, your object, and you could put the gilding on that as well. You can also use a little bit of Tombow. You can make little flecks with the Tombow, or a line with the Tombow, or a squiggle with the Tombow, but let the Tombow dry to a tackiness before you would put this. This adheres to a tacky surface. So some really fun things that we can be doing with this. If you have any questions, just jump over to my blog, cindyleeBdesigns.com. You'll see additional photos and information. You can also email me at cindyleeb@gmail.com, or you can text me at 724-323-2296. Thanks for buzzing by, friends.